What's up everybody, another beautiful day in Azeroth, and today we'll be taking a look at a reworked dungeon, Throne of the Tides, from the before times in the elden days of the Cataclysm, which is part of Season 3 dungeon pool. Now I'll be going over notable trash, interrupts, and bows mechanics. Let me know what y'all think of these dungeon guides in the comments, and what y'all think of this rework. Now, first of all, gone is the Jellyvator. It's been replaced by magical bubbles. So, notable trash before the first boss, the Najar Invader, soothed their slithering assault and rage. And the oh-so-cute Snapdragons? They'll fixate random players and nibble on their feet. This does, however, inflict a stacking bleed, which murders you. So slow, stun, root 'em. Make sure to interrupt the Oracle's Hex and their healing wave. Healers, you want to beware of the Sentinel's crushing debt. Their financial instability causes players to drown and get a healing absorb. So do the Healy thing until it's gone. They also slap tanks for a fair bit. Now the big Ravagers, they have a frontal cone, acid barrage. They will also cast volatile bolt, big old circle. Don't be in it when it explodes, nor the puddle that spawns after. Your friendly neighborhood murlocs will leap at players, dealing some damage around them when they land. Root, stun, cuddle. Players targeted by Tempest Witch Lightning Surge needs to move away from other players. Dispel if possible. Moving on to the first boss. You want to interrupt her water bolt as often as possible, and players targeted by Shock Blast needs to move out a bit before exploding. Fires orbs in all direction. These orbs are shockingly bad to take to the face. Healers, beware of Focus Tempest. Deals a high amount of damage to a random player, then jumps between other players. Again, do the Healy thing. I believe in you! The boss will spawn a ton of watery swirls on the ground. Swirls gets you knocked up and deals a ton of damage. Then at 60 and 30% an intermission start, boss goes immune and spawns 4 big adds and a swarm of murlocs. Tank, pick up the honor guards and tank him near one of the frost witches. Then you want to interrupt the frost witch frost bolt and dispel or spell steal their icy vein buff. Haste yow! The murlocs will leap at random players, so stay loosely stacked near the big mobs. Again, use stuns and roots to keep them in check. Intermission ends once all the adds are defeated, then it's just rinse repeat. Moving on to the second boss, Ulthok, the Festering Prince. Ew. There is no trash before this boss, as you cleared it before the first boss. Now tanks, beware of their crushing claw, the old lobster pinch. Deals a big chunk of damage and increases physical damage taken by 100%, so beware. Throughout the fight, boss will spawn a bubbling ooze. Taking a bath in the ooze deals a ton of damage, but more importantly, it reduces your haste by 100%, so it is actually a DPS loss. Get away from me! When the boss casts Awaken Ooze, each puddle will reform into an ad, and these ads will have the bubbling ooze puddle with them. So don't let them get too close. I'm sorry, melee. However, if you attack them, they get knocked back, and you can crowd control them, so stuns, knockbacks. After a few seconds, or if you nuke him down, they will turn back into a puddle. And as the fight progresses, you'll get more and more ooze ads. You also want to beware of Ulthok's Festering Shockwave. Knocks you back and leaves a dot. Don't get knocked into ooze. Again, it reduces your haste by 100%. Who cares about the damage you take? You can heal that. It's all about the damage you lose. My pad. Moving on to notable trash before the third boss. The Faceless Watcher's Clenching Tentacle will grip everyone into melee. Then it casts Shadow Smash. Don't get smashed. This is not the good kind of smash. Then we have the Faceless Seer. Now how can you be a seer without a face? Huh? Make sure to interrupt their Mind Flame. They'll spawn a swirly Void Orb that'll fire a Null Blast. Deals a ton of damage and silences you. Pretty feels bad, man, if you get blasted by this. Then we have the Flying Buttholes. They will cast Psionic Pulse, dealing damage to everyone near them, and you can only interrupt this by stunning, knocking, incap, etc. Then we have the third boss, the Mindbender. It will spawn Earth Fury Swirlies beneath players that erupts a half second later. So stutter step drop these, avoid chasing your healers with it. You want to drag boss to the Storm Flurry Totem whenever it spawns. It increases boss attack speed by 100% and his slaps deals additional nature damage. So you want to cleave the poor totem down before the tank starts crying. One heal. And healers, you want to make sure to dispel Flame Shock, or the DPS will instead start to complain when they died without using a defensive, health stone, or health pot. One heal? At 20%, the Mindbender plops off and fights you directly. When they cast Terrifying Vision, run behind one of the pillars to line of sight it. It fears everyone and deals lethal damage. Tanks, you want to try to keep boss near a pillar to make this easier. The boss also deals a ton of shadow damage to everyone in the group, so healers, flex them heals. Moving on to notable trash before the last boss. The Gill Goblin Hunters will leap away from players and throw spears at them. One of them is poisonous, so you can stun, incap to interrupt, or dispel if one does go off. And you want to make sure to interrupt the Aqua Mage's Aqua Blast. The small and stable corruptions explode on death, dealing a ton of damage and inflicts a stacking disease wave of corruption that increases shadow damage taken by 5%. And the big old elementals will puff up their chest and swell, dealing damage to everyone, so you do not want to have high stacks of wave of corruption when they start swelling, or you'll be at the short end of their stick. Then we have the last boss, the Ink Master, Ozumat. The boss has a frontal cone aimed at the tank, Merc Spew. And tanks, if you're not in melee range, boss slaps you with a Foul Bolt instead, dealing their normal damage, but as shadow instead. So much more ouchies. Players targeted by Blotting Barrage will spawn a pool of ink when it expires and deal damage to anyone within the circle. You want to keep these ink pools as stacked or overlapping as possible to not use up too much space. When the boss casts Deluge of Filth, it spawns several adds. The sludge add needs to be picked up by tank and it will turn back into ink pools when they die. Now if possible, you want to nuke him down near or inside of old ink pools. Make sure to interrupt these Splotch's ink blast so they can be moved. Players targeted by Cleansing Fix gets a circle around them, become immune to the ink pool damage. Then it's time for some Mario Sunshine pressure washer action. You want to use this to clean up as much of the spilled ink around the boss as possible. Now when Inky is dead, Neptulon buffs everyone in the group with the Tide's energy, which is a lot of damage. And you need to nuke down the Ozumat to 10% before it swims away. This is just a bit of a burn, if even that. Just slap squid. And that's pretty much it for the reworked Throne of the Tides Mythic. Hope it helps, and if you have any questions at all, hit me up in the comments, on stream, or become a patron or Twitch sub and get access to the Stankie Discord, where you can get help with anything PvE related like dungeons, raiding, enhancement, slapping. Don't forget the usual stuff. If you want to help me out, like, comment, subscribe, and slap that notification bell. I'm releasing a lot of guides for 10.2, both dungeon, raiding, and enhancement stuff. But yeah, thank you all for watching. I will see you next time.